pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Bobby, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Joe LaRue,
Here.
Chair Butch Schleier,
Here.
Commissioner Neil Younger.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. And we don't have any changes to the order of business tonight, I don't believe. No executive sessions. Prior minutes, commissioners, did you have a chance to review prior minutes?
Yep, look good.
Okay. Everything there stands as submitted. The consent agenda, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Sure, I move to approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Any issues from persons not on the order of business? No one's coming up here. Monthly department report. Commissioners, did you have a chance to review your report?
Yes, everything looked
Yep.
good.
Very good, very thorough.
Very thorough.
Our employees are working hard. Okay, the next agenda item is the Walker complaint, Van and Brendan Kay.
Yeah, I'm Van Freilich from Walker.
Come up to the podium, Van.
I'm Van Freilich from Walker, and basically just one of the bunch that came with me here. We have some concerns since we live clear at the east end of the county. I mean, sometimes we're seldom ever heard of, except when they call the sheriff every other day, but we have some issues that we'd like maybe to be addressed, but our hands are probably tied, but we'll see what we can do. Number one complaint is we have what we believe is a lawnmower junkyard, salvage yard on a residence that is at 1270 Walker Avenue. And I brought photos of that to show you what I mean. I don't know who's putting them up on the... You ready? They said it was ready. Oh, okay. How can you see them? Oh, you can see them there. Okay.
Mhm.
That's actually Priest's house right there, man.
Yeah, this one, go to the next one, please. Another issue. Another issue. Sorry. Another issue. Another issue. We might have got the wrong one on her. Different issue. Keep going. This one here is bad. This one is on the north side of the railroad tracks. And Terry Riddle could probably describe this better than me because he had to fight a fire here not too long ago. The garage burned down, and if we would have had a 60-mile-an-hour wind, more than this would have burned down. But I couldn't get a lot of good pictures because I didn't want to walk on the person's property. So this is just a part of it. You'd have to go there yourself and look at it. I might have a couple more pictures on there, I don't know. Yeah, it's just this van part, but okay, this is another issue. Okay, here. This is the 1270 residence on Walker Avenue, 1270. This is the lawnmowers. You can just keep going if you want. There. There. And this is the back lot behind it. Soon we'll have the front lot close to close to Walker Avenue. This is the side of it on the south side of the house. This is all. Here's the front. This car is not drivable, but he tagged it. I think it's a salvage tag or whatever, so he can park it there, which is a nuisance because Chris Von Linnell, our grader operator, if it snows this winter, he has to go around all this junk. So, not this, but the cars. And I'll show you down the road here, there's more. Okay, keep going. I think you kind of got pretty much, there's the tag he has on it. Now, I got a question with this picture. Is this an alley or a street?
We have a picture I can pull.
Yeah, Brendan might know that. I know he does.
So, right there, Darren, if you go back up a page, he's talking about this alley right here from Walker Avenue that goes over to this
Right.
path. So if you go up to the picture before this, Darren, and then you might have to zoom out. So this is the plat of the first Dryling addition to Walker. So this is Walker Avenue. Church and everything's right off here to the northwest. That is an alley platted for public use. So that's an alley that it does exist as a road, or in our record book, as public right of way.
So the next question is, who maintains this alley?
In the past, the county does not maintain alleys or utility easements. It's very narrow. I believe it, if I didn't write down the actual number because it was cursive and hard to read from 1907, I believe it's only 20 feet. It may be 30 feet. It's small for our machines to fit through. That's the reason why we don't maintain utility easements and alleys in developments.
So the next question is, how come we have to get county easements to put in like water lines, gas lines on this property, on these alleys?
You keep looking at us, but I'm pretty sure you need to hand him the mic.
I don't know who to address this to.
So it is still county right-of-way. Basically, it's right-of-way for utilities to be able to be run out to the residents. This was a development that was platted in 1907. Why they put an alley there? Your guess is as good as mine. Because they also have those lots split in half, but no access for any of those lots on the east side of the development. But those lots are all split clear in half. So I don't know how those properties are meant to have access from public right-of-way.
Okay, the next question is, why did the county maintain these alleys in the past?
Your guess is as good as mine. We don't. Sometimes people do things for others. Not saying that was the case here, not saying it's not the case. It's before my time, so I can't tell you why one way or another on it.
Okay, another question. So does each property owner own a piece of the alley?
Underneath the county's right-of-way, they do. So if the county vacates said public right-of-way, it goes right back to the neighboring landowners.
So why couldn't one neighbor not get along with the other neighbor and block the alley off?
Still public right of way, should be free for travel.
Okay, then who's responsible if there's an accident on that alley?
Sheriff's Department.
No, I mean monetary or injury-wise.
Be the person who's at fault of said accident. That is just it was written as an alley. Those are mainly just for, these alleys we have in subdivisions are generally just for the utilities to be running, or place for them to be run without being alongside the public roadway, travel ways.
Okay, and the biggest question is, why did the county name the alley Walnut? And they have a Walnut street sign put up at the north end of the alley.
Darren, if you want to go back to the second attachment I have you, so one up there. So this was in 1887, the Walker Town Improvement Edition that was platted. This is Walker Avenue right through here. You see this street said Walnut Street? That's what he's talking about, the other alley. Now if we go down to the next page, right here is a newspaper clipping from 1904 saying that the county vacates all of the right-of-way south of the railroad and returns it back to the landowner. And then this is the plat for the first dryling addition to Walker. So this is Walker Avenue. This is what is, we have signs saying it's called Walnut Street. It does not show any right-of-way there. It just shows that alley and then Walker Avenue. And all these lots are split in half. So I don't know how these people can have access to their properties without having an easement from this person, without having a proper public right-of-way. It's named Walnut Street. We put signs up, but that's all we do currently on it.
Yeah, we're a little bit ahead of the issue, but if you back up, Darren, if you can, and to that street sign,
The picture that you provided?
please. Right there. Yeah, right there it says Walnut Street. That's been up for at least 2 years or longer. So, okay, let's continue on. Just keep rolling the pictures, please, Darren. That's the front of the property. Okay, here's a new issue next door. This guy went into business for himself, which is great. I don't begrudge him that. But he hauls customers' waste and dumps it in his yard. And this is right across the street from our church. He's been caught numerous times at Gorham, taking this stuff to the Gorham private dump for limbs and grass. And he finally got caught the last time. They were going to fine him and everything, so he quit hauling there, which that was Russell County. He ought to be hauling to Ellis County landfill. He ought to be putting this in his estimates so he can afford to dump it, but he doesn't. And this is still safe. This is just wood. He's got all kinds of stuff. Keep rolling, please. This is his house. No, roll, that's still the lawnmower next door. There, that's his property. Not too bad there yet. That's the name of his company. Now he parks all his vehicles on Walker Avenue, all his business vehicles. Well, that's not going to cut it this winter. And he replied to me that, find me a farmer to sell me some ground. Well, it's going to be cluttered like this. No farmer's going to sell you any ground, for starters, but that's not my problem. But like this vehicle he just bought, the motor's blowed up in it, so it's gonna sit there. And if you roll some more pictures, Darren, please. There, this vehicle is not in running condition. Here's a trailer load of limbs. He does a lot of tree cutting, parked on Main. This is the back of his lot. His lot runs from the Walker Avenue all the way back to the alley that we were complaining about. This is full of junk. There's a truck plumb full of customer junk. He's building a new building here that on land that isn't even titled to him yet. Keep going, Darren, please. Now, this is his next door neighbor, 1270. He's got a vacant vehicle and more lawnmowers. So you really can't tell where you start or leave off because it's just nothing but junk. And Lord knows what's in these bags. And the mower part, I think we saw enough pictures really so far. Okay. Oh, okay, sorry. Our biggest concern is environmental. There's batteries in most all of those mowers. Rodents, common sense will tell you that there's all kinds of rodents around there. And probably one of the biggest concerns is a fire hazard. We can't even get fire equipment down the alley. Wild brush trucks are the only ones that can go down the alley to fight the fire. And we had a fire there about 2 years ago. He was working on a mower in the tall grass and backfired and caught the pot on fire. Too bad it didn't burn more, but it could have took the rest of the houses to the north if we had a big wind. So, I don't know. This is mostly our biggest concern is the lawnmowers. The gentleman that lives in the residence north of the tracks, that's terrible. That's a fire hazard. And Joe, do you have any other pictures? Yeah. Do you have another? This was the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a couple other, I put them on probation because it's terrible. But I know due to the Cali County case, our hands might be tied, but we feel it's a nuisance. We feel that it's a hazard. I don't know where we could fall under to get it cleaned up. We'll probably have to go to the KDHE, but like Mr. Schleier said, they weren't very helpful when we got the dump cleaned up down at Walker. And that was 85 loads, tandem loads of junk they hauled out of there. And I could have stopped that on the second load, but nothing was done. And I have that all on videotape because I happened to have a bad accident and I was laid up for over a year. So I had plenty of time on my hands to go down there and videotape. So.
Okay. Darren, anything you've seen on the pictures look like a fire hazard to you since you are the fire chief?
Oh, yes and no. Yes and no. We did have a fire there. Terry was there.
I just want to kind of go on that deal. I drove by there, I drive by this stuff every day. Property in town, which, this pretty much devaluates my property. I've got a nice home, and I'm trying to sell, but somebody doesn't want to buy it because they don't want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
So I drive by the property on the north side of the tracks, and it's on my lunch hour, I do see a little smoke.
Yeah.
I actually stop. I actually stop, and I'm on the Victoria Rural Fire Department, so I call it in, and the wind is blowing pretty good that day, and it's surrounded by evergreens, and there's houses in close proximity, and we're actually in the Gorham Fire District, but Victoria helped respond, and we had all we could do to get He's got piles of lumber 6, 7 feet tall. I mean, it's bad in there. And it's just hard, it's hard to get around and control something like that, from a fire standpoint, Darren.
So sitting there, not necessarily, but once something gets started, like Terry says, it's, by the time, it is in the Gorham Fire District, but we still respond over there. By the time you have something that starts and 10 minutes later with response time, it's out of control by the time you get there, and you're just praying that you don't have the wind speeds in the right or the wrong direction to impinge on an exposure on another house. So, but working on them, you know, a spark, you're cutting, you're grinding, that happens every day, or not every day, but we have a lot of fires from people cutting and grinding on lawnmowers, but fence post to just anything. So, a fire hazard, yes.
Is there anything you can do as fire chief to write them a letter and have them eliminate their weed growth and that sort of thing around all the miscellaneous debris?
I would be more than happy to try to do, not just a letter, but also go visit with them. I'm not sure if it would
Sure.
do any good with.
Well, it
not-
can't,
not having
it can't
access to
hurt. It can't hurt. I mean,
Definitely go ask.
Well, then I guess my question would be, not to steal your line, but the next question would be, so let's say you go visit with the gentleman and he says, nope, not going to do it. I mean, today supposedly he mowed and we weed-eated, but let's just say he goes, nope, not going to do it. Like you said, without follow-up that's effective, is it even worth sending the letter or visiting with him in the first place if we can't enforce it? So I guess that would be my question to,
Mr. Jeter, can we enforce it?
Bill Jeter, County Councilor. We used to think we could. As you recall,
I recall.
Mr. Chair, when you were the public health officer, we had a resolution, the county did, that allowed us to abate or do self-help cleanups of property that were determined to be a public nuisance. And we did that a number of times. As Van had indicated, that back in 2012, in a case Barnes versus Board of Cali County Commissioners, the Kansas Court of Appeals ruled that counties do not have the authority to do self-help or abatement of nuisances. So the only thing that I can think of that would be available, there is a criminal statute on maintaining a public health nuisance, which affects public health and safety. And that's a misdemeanor crime. That would be enforceable through the county attorney's office. There isn't anything that the county commission can do
But
to clean up property.
maintaining a public health nuisance, one would need some very clear definitions as to what that could be.
What that is. It would
Yeah.
require an investigation probably from the sheriff's department and a determination by the county attorney.
Sure. But I know.
But as a county commission, your hands are tied.
I know as far as lawnmowers and that sort of thing, miscellaneous debris, we have no authority to order it removed.
No.
One thing I'm concerned about is in the middle of all those lawnmowers, there's a burn barrel in there. And with weeds, I mean, weeds were taller than that table, all around it. And I've been over there and I've got a little irate. In fact, you may have to call the sheriff once in a while if I get riled up enough, but I don't want that to happen. And it's not a good thing, or let's put it that way.
He burns. That's what's bad. He burns his wood, which is fine. You know, you can do that, but he don't care. I mean, he don't watch it.
The other interesting piece to this too is, as we've indicated from the fire perspective, although we'd be happy to go over there and help at any time for any mutual aid request, it also is the jurisdiction of the Gorham Fire Department to be able to enforce anything that they have over there, even though it's still in Ellis County. It is their response area. However, I would still be more than willing to go visit with them and
And I
see
mean,
if we can
just
help.
an addition, the garages and that old house back there that almost caught fire on the first fire, those are plumb full of lawnmowers. I mean, there's no way a fireman can go in there even and try to fight a fire. I mean, he'd have to fight it from the out. I mean, it's going to burn down regardless, but try to put a fire out like that. I mean, it's going to take enormous amounts of water. Jeez. So, yeah, they can't. And then to fight a fire, they're going to trip over everything. You know, if it's at night, geez, crime, and you can't even walk through it, much less, I don't know.
Darren, if you could make contact with some of them landowners, what have those weed issues and that sort of thing, see what they will do or what they won't do, and I guess we'll have to approach it that way. As far as the miscellaneous items, there's not much we can do there. If cars are parked on the street,
Yeah, that's
that's
granted, I got a
law
trailer
enforcement
and a
issue.
car on the street. But when I know if it's going to snow or something the night before, they're off. Because I know Chris comes through and plows the snow, and we appreciate that. We know the state comes through at night and plows snow. I mean,
I don't believe we have a county policy what says residents have to move vehicles from streets during snowstorms.
There's nothing in particular, you just can't park in the right of way, but that street is wide enough that we consider public parking accessible on Walker Avenue in Walker, but Brendan can explain that more.
Yep. So it's about a 40-foot wide paved roadway stretch through there, just like it is in Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And there's currently no parking signs. It's meant for parking for the church and residents there.
Sure.
Because the travel way is still open. The issue with parking in the right of way is when you're obstructing traffic. If someone parks on the edge there, there's still the 24-foot driving lanes. Sometimes there's equipment larger than 24 foot that is a trouble to get around that, but we don't have anything saying they can't park there at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
the other thing is when we have funerals, if it's a large funeral, we have to double park, so that even makes it narrower. I mean, no farm implement would get down there. I mean, I had trouble the other day getting a farm implement down because both sides of the street were parked. So, and the other thing I would like to bring up is both of those property owners were notified that to come to this meeting, and I notified them by certified mail, and I know they got it. So, and neither one's here to defend themselves. So.
No, one did call me and speak to me for about an hour.
Did he? Okay. But
Well, I guess,
they just laugh. They just laugh at us. I mean,
well, that's because we can't do a lot.
I know, and that's not
that's the
right.
predicament we're in.
Where's the zoning committee?
To have a
Golly.
very nice nuisance abatement policy. It was very specific with what we could and couldn't do. We just tore it up after in 2012, as
Yeah,
Jeter referred to.
I know. That's the way it is. I mean, justice there is. The good guy has no justice at all.
Seems like it.
Jeepers. I mean,
We
it's
we
the bad
can't have
people that
Darren make
can do
contact with some
anything.
of those people. If there is fire hazards, we try to reduce it if we can. If there's issues with parking, that's a law enforcement issue. Be up to the sheriff's department to look at that.
and I know one thing, if you're not parked the right way, the highway patrol will stop and give you a ticket whether you're in church or not, so. They will.
So,
And, okay, and I got one more issue. It's the main street of Walker Avenue. Time and time again, it's been overlaid, sealed, and the crown is, geez, like this. Well, we're having trouble getting into our driveways without dragging our spoilers on our vehicles, or I have to lock my pickup in four-wheel drive to back my trailer in my driveway. I can't get it in any other way. It drags the tongue that bad. And we just keep overlaying it. And this is a heavily traveled street, road, whatever you want to call it, by heavy trucks. We have all of these grain trucks that are coming through there. We have all of this traffic off the interstate because it's the nearest exit to Old 40 to come to Hayes to deliver Russell or wherever. And I mean, they're beating the heck out of it. I know that. And our curbs don't drain because before Brendan, there was a gentleman that lives clear down at the south end of Walker there, not clear down, but in town there. He was allowed to put a 4-inch or 4-inch little pipe across there and build it up so he could back into his driveway. But in turn, that's blocking the water from my house and Mike's house and another resident's house all the way from draining to the south, to the ditch. Well, we can't go down there and clean the ditch out because it's within 50 feet of a high-pressure gas line, and the gas company already shut us down on that. So, I don't know. Brendan has said that you guys are working possibly on a grant to redo that avenue, but that's in the making and a long time down the road, probably.
Brendan, is there anything we can do with that?
So the best solution for there would be to do what we did to Victoria Cathedral Avenue. That's why I talked with him when I met with him last Friday or 2 Fridays ago. It's been time flies when you're having fun. But so right along this east side in particular is where he's talking about. Right where your mouse is there, there's 2 4-inch drill pipe placed in there and an asphalt mount built up over it. It's slowing the water draining from there. This is all curb and gutter. Problem with curb and gutter out in the county is there's no stormwater system. So all that water just sits there and it has to roll one way or the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mosquito catch.
Yeah.
The water don't.
Because
Now it is.
there's no stormwater system to take that water away effectively. It just has to slowly roll down the curb and get out. It's being bottlenecked some in that area. I mean, I can't say it's blocking all of it. I can't say it isn't though, because it is impeding some of the flow as it drains out to the south. It's a flat lying area in there. The best way to do it would be to take out the center of the roadway like we did in Victoria. I went back and looked at our records. We last overlaid on Walker Avenue in 2015, but we stopped the overlay before the start of the curb and gutter because this was noticed to be an issue back then. We knew it was going to be an issue back then. So all they did was do a sand seal on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really add any material height to it, but just over the years, because it was done in the late 60s, they put cold mix patches on to help smooth the ride control out. That gets deformed, they come back and seal over it. Cold mix patch, it builds up over time, and you end up with this nice big half moon curve on the top. So it is you have steep approaches from the edge of the roadway into the driveways. The best fix for that would be to take out the center of the roadway and lower it.
I bet the ground's 2 feet high from the ground to my
Is-
driveway.
At least.
Is there anything in our plans to look at that issue?
It's in the plans and for later years out to apply for a grant for it.
Okay.
Because just the cost of what that would be is outside of what we have budgeted for and what we have
Absolutely.
funds for.
Sure.
So it was another cost share ideas that we've been kicking around. But I can't say if or when we would get that.
Mm-hmm.
As
Okay.
far as that high-pressure gas line, has anybody ever hydrovac down to see how deep that is?
Pardon me?
Has anybody ever hydrovac down to see how deep that high-pressure gas line?
No, but
Because they
in
can,
the field, years ago when I was a kid, I mean, it's been a long time, Don Pratt owned,
Okay.
was farming the ground, and the undercutter actually hit the gas line.
okay,
But they came out and replaced it
lowered
and
it.
dug her down deeper
Okay.
in the field, but now they didn't go out past, in the
Okay.
county right away, so.
that would be interesting to see how deep that is, because if we could get a ditch through there, even if we had to talk to the gas company,
Yeah.
get it exposed, put
Well,
sand
you
and
guys came out
flow.
once and you were gonna try to do something, and the darn gas company was there. We already flagged the lines and everything, but they came and they shut you down. They wouldn't let you do it.
Who is it? Which gas company? Kansas Gas? Okay,
yeah.
I'll talk to them.
It's also very flat through there, Neil, so having a deeper
Right.
ditch there is not going to carry the water away any faster. It's just, it'll allow for more room to sit somewhere, because it drains to the south,
Can we go with further to kind of help out?
not with the right-of-way that we have.
Okay.
It's very slow sloping to the south. I didn't take my laser level out there, or the auto ladder transit, or eye level out there to shoot it, but it's just a very slow, gradual slope to the south. You make the ditch bigger, it may come off here, but the big issue is that there's curb and gutter here,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no stormwater. I don't recommend we put in stormwater system. I think it'd be beneficial to look at this entrance, to take those pipes out, to see what would happen there and what we can do for that resident to still access their property. Because their pipes are just put in on top of the concrete driveway, because they had an issue with the steep approach angles.
Because
Most of us property owners,
if I remember right, that gas line's on both sides of that.
Correct. It runs straight across the roadway through there.
Okay.
And if we cut down too far down here, now we're going to collect the water in the middle of
Coming the
here,
other way.
and we'll have a bigger mosquito pond for the residents there.
Yep.
I think Mike Schmipper has something he wants to discuss with you concerning the street, and then we'll be done. Yeah.
I mean, there's not really been anything different with the street that I would have to discuss that hasn't been discussed already. It's just the crown of the road. And, you know, over the years, the gas company has come through and they've replaced some gas lines, and the water district has come through and replaced some water lines. And that water that sits in front in the curb has settled back down in, and everything's starting to sink down even worse, kind of right in front of my property. I know when it does rain, that crown on the road forces the water over, and I've had water rolling down the sidewalk because it's so high on the crown that the water has no place to go but over to the side, and it's actually running 4 inches over the top of the sidewalk. That's up in the front, so. I mean, it is a,
Add to that, if your meter lid isn't shut properly,
it'll flood the water meters up, so.
Okay.
Now, as far as on the mowers, Brandon, did you go over, is he far enough off of the center line with his stuff?
Yeah, that stuff's all far enough back off
Okay.
the county right away. What he's talking about is right here.
Mhm.
There's a rural water line that was done across there, and you can see in the road surface and the sidewalk and the curb, it's settled. So he's got a nice little small pond there. The crown of the road is to shed water to the ditches or to the side of the road. If this wasn't curb here, there would be a ditch through here that would carry the water, but because it is curb, it rolls to the curb line. It can't drop out through the stormwater system, so it just runs along the curb to the south. But there's just looking at it, eyeballing it, haven't had time to come out, put a level on it. The discretion that I see in the pavement and the sidewalk, it shows that it's settled, so it's pooling right there as well. So that's why it comes over his curb and comes across the sidewalk, because it has settled there. We could build that part up, but now we're going to stop water and try and force water the way it doesn't want to go. I mean, there's no easy solution to any of this.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of solutions, but time, money, just what direction do you guys like me to go in?
I guess to the people in Walker, I'm also from a small town. Keep your guys' eyes open for skunks, varmints. Get KDHE involved. They've got a lot of power. Try to get incorporated. I don't know how many people would be willing.
that's just it.
That's tough. I've tried it too in Munger, and it's hard.
Yeah.
But if you can catch varmints on there, and especially skunks, they,
I mean, even the farmers are complaining about these issues, but I mean,
Well, okay, we're going to have to wrap this one up so we can move on to our next issue.
well, the guy that should have been here isn't here, but he lives right next to him. And I don't know. Nobody wants to hurt anybody's
Nope.
feelings. I don't either. I'm not that type of person, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. and it's an eyesore, especially for a
It's
beautiful church
terrible.
right there.
No, I
Yeah.
don't care. I can go to Wichita and somebody will see me and they'll go,
Where do you live? I go, Walker. Oh, that's where all those lawnmowers are. Well, I don't want to be noted for that. Jesus. Come on, people. Have some common sense and be clean. Well, that's all we have for now, I think. Do you guys have anything? Yeah, thank you so much for your time, and appreciate Darren to help me out with the pictures there. I used to be tech, but I'm not so anymore, so appreciate it, and we'll
kind of see
just wait and see and hope
if we can get anything
come up
done
with
at all.
maybe a solution for us. I don't know. So, I mean, we're not here to, we know it's not going to happen overnight because I worked on the dump 5 years before we got it cleaned up, so.
Okay, well, we thank
Yep.
you, Van.
But I appreciate all of your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item is the United Way request. Erica?
Hello, I'm Erica Burgess, Executive Director of the United Way of Ellis County, and with me is Karina Parker. She is Board President of the United Way and also Chair of the Care Council. We are here to request disbursement of the alcohol tax funds to 2 agencies. So first I want to talk a little bit about the alcohol tax funds, and then the process on how that's determined, and then the agencies that would receive this. Special alcohol tax funds are governed by a state statute which states that the funds must be expended on the purchase, establishment, maintenance, or expansion of services for programs whose principal purpose is alcoholism and drug abuse prevention and education, alcohol and drug detoxification, intervention in alcohol and drug abuse, or treatment of persons who are alcoholics or drug abusers or are in danger of becoming alcoholics or drug abusers. The disbursement of alcohol tax funds is determined by the Care Council. The Care Council is made up of 13 volunteers, a chair, and 12 volunteers that are broken up into 4 groups of 3. This is also, it has 3 representatives from the United Way of Ellis County, 3 representatives from the City of Hayes, and 3 representatives for the Ellis County. Each group oversees reviewing 5 to 6 applications determined by the category of community and neighborhood, family and individual, children and youth, and health and rehabilitation, which is the category the agencies that receive alcohol tax funds are in. The United Way of Ellis County, on behalf of the Care Council, are asking for alcohol tax funds for 2 agencies, Dream Incorporated and Smoky Hill Foundation for Chemical Dependency. We ask that the funds are split 50-50 between the 2 agencies. Here's a description of the agencies and the programs that these funds help. With Dream Incorporated, this is for their intervention treatment program. Alcohol tax funds allow this agency to offer the only intensive services for teens and their families, as well as specialized services for children of addicted families. Special alcohol tax funds are used to provide free or reduced services, including year-round support groups, evaluations for school and family referrals, co-joint family counseling, and consultations for family members of addicts. The program is intended to reduce use of alcohol and drugs, increase attendance at school and work sites, reduce problems within the family, and reduce contacts with law enforcement. In 2021, a total of 542 Ellis County residents were served by DREAM. This was up by 74 people than the previous year. With Smoky Hill Foundation for Chemical Dependency, this goes to 3 different programs. One is their primary outpatient program, is for males and females who suffer from substance abuse. They receive education to learn skills necessary to become productive members of society and the ability to gain a sense of self-worth and belonging within the community. In 2021, 225 adults were served by the primary outpatient program. Clients completed substance abuse evaluations, attended group sessions 2 times per week, and individual sessions when necessary. Clients have been able to resume face-to-face outpatient treatment services. They had to go video remote a short time due to COVID. The other one is their Youth Education and Safety Program. It is an evidence-based early intervention education program designed for youth 11 to 18 years of age and their parents or guardians. The YES project provides early intervention programming for youth identified by courts, juvenile intake officers, parents, schools, social service entities, and law enforcement as being at risk for continued alcohol and/or drug abuse. In 2021, 9 youth, along with at least one parent, were served by the YES program. Their second one is their peer mentoring program. In June of 2021, Smoky Hill Foundation was able to add the peer mentoring as an additional treatment service. Peer mentoring is designed to provide recovery support through giving and receiving non-clinical assistance to help self and others in achieving long-term recovery from alcohol and/or drug-related problems. Peer mentoring provides clients with support and assistance to enhance their recovery goals, especially those new to recovery that are lacking a healthy support system. In just 5 months, 50 Ellis County clients have participated in peer mentoring support services. We appreciate the support of Ellis County and for these important programs. Does any of you have any questions?
Commissioner Joe, any questions, concerns?
No, no questions or concerns, just thanking you and your organization for what you do for our community.
Thank you.
So, thanks.
Commissioner Neal?
Also, I'll echo that. Thank you for your services and glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, do I hear a motion for this?
Yeah, I'll move to allow the two 4,500 alcohol tax payments to Dream Incorporated and the Smoky Hill Foundation per the United Way Care Council request.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you so
ladies.
much.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is the Ellis County Historical Society update.
Good evening, Commissioners. Detective Brad Rickey with the Ellis County Sheriff's Office. I'm also the county liaison for the Ellis County Historical Society. I'm joined here with the executive director of the Ellis County Historical Society, Amanda Rupp. I do have one thing that I need for the agenda to change. It's listed me as a board member. I'm just the county liaison. I haven't been elected, at least not yet, to the board. So I just wanted to clear that up. Our last progress report was Monday, June 13th, 2022. I hope everybody's got one of our outlines of all the things that we have accomplished since that time. It's a whole bunch, and I don't mean to waste your guys' time, but our board members, our volunteers, our employees, and our interns have just been knocking it out of the ballpark. So we have quite a bit. I'm probably going to sound like the Micro Machine man and really talk fast. So if you need me to slow down, just raise your hand, please. So just a couple days after our last address, we had our relative rescue, which was during the Hayes Art Walk. We identified relatives for people from old photographs, and we had a whole bunch of our people down at the Historical Society to try to accomplish that. We actually did identify one person from an old historic photograph. We also got our website for the Historical Society up and running on the internet. That address is echshayes.org. I recommend everybody go to it. We've got links to our store, which you can buy shirts and books and whatnot without actually having to come down, although we would love to see you there at 7th and Main as well. Our intern from our Dane G. Hansen Fort Hays State University program has now cataloged, since our last time that we spoke with you, over 400 different articles from our precious articles that we have there at the Historical Society. This is really important because we're putting the proof of needing this software and cataloging all these things to the pudding there, because we are getting all these items registered so that others can see if we have those items. the Ellis County Historical Society attended the 22 Herzog Fest just this past weekend. We handed out free ice-cold water. I think we saved probably a couple people's lives because they look extremely dehydrated. We also sold T-shirts, books, and raffle tickets for our gun raffle. We made a total profit of $784 from Herzog Fest, which was phenomenal. All these proceeds are going to go to the efforts of Victoria, you see. Well, by the way, we just announced that we're going to be moving into a portion of the former Victoria Rest Home. This is
adding a site, not moving.
Oh, I'm sorry, adding a new site. Sorry,
Very,
we didn't
very-
want to scare everybody. I appreciate that. At this site, we're going to have Volga German and Victoria Basilica exhibits, and more importantly, renovations to the second story are going to allow us to have more space for our articles that we now have at our Hayes site to be moved over to the Victoria site for storage. What this means is this goes along with our strategic plan of being able to get the brick building open so that we can have more exhibit space. So that is really right on task. Very happy about that. The Sternberg firearm exhibit that's going on right now is going to end on Labor Day. And this is important to know because Labor Day is also the day that we're going to have our gun raffle drawing. We will have an event from 12 to 5. We're going to have a gentleman by the name of Jeff Davidson, who is a Western music entertainer, will perform during the day. And more than likely, I think I'm going to be drawing the tickets, right? No? Okay, darn it. Okay. Let me see. We will have
Family fun free event. For
Yep.
for the-
Yep, we will definitely have things for the kids and family. We will accept the raffle tickets up to the time of the drawing. Hayes Oktoberfest, we're going to have a slideshow there at our 7th Street campus, so we invite people to come down there.
That'll be at our booth.
Oh, we're going to have a booth there. See, you don't know until you come to these meetings, okay? We're going to have a first annual Twist and Shout Trivia Night on November 5th from 7 to 10. This is going to be at the Hayes Community Theater, which is located at 121 8th Street. This is going to be comprised of having up to 8 teams with 8 players on each team. Registration is about $80, so about $10 per person. And we're going to have mental and physical challenges. Physical challenges? Like, what would be an example of one?
Like those minute-to-win-it games, shake the ping pong ball out of
Out of what?
Attached
Okay.
to your-
Yes, it's gonna be a hoot, okay? And then there's also gonna be a whole bunch of questions about early haze. So if you don't know things about early haze, Ellis County, Victoria, and Ellis, you might want to get some of those folks on your team. But please join us. James Bell, well, tentatively, or he's confirmed. He has confirmed that he is going to be our MC, and we will have prizes for the team that supersedes everyone. Remodeling has begun on the basement of the brick building. It looks huge down there. In fact, I'm not quite sure how it supports the 2 stories above it, but there's plenty of room, and we're going to get some offices in there so we can start moving our employees from the Eagle Plaza back home to our 7th Street campus. And then lastly, we plan to publish our next newsletter, November of 22. Commissioners, do you have any questions for me?
I have no questions, but you have been busy, obviously. Commissioner Neal, questions?
Yeah, a couple of them. How's the raffle going? Good?
You have
We're
a great
selling a lot of
chance, but
tickets, Neil.
Yeah, you need to- yeah, your chances are safe.
Okay. And then just another comment, you guys are doing leaps and bounds. I appreciate you guys and all your team members that are making this all happen, so keep it up. Thank you.
Commissioner Joe?
No questions, just thank you for the frequent and detailed updates, and I was relieved that you didn't reply to his question with the answer of fighting a bear or something like that. So.
Contrary to what maybe many others might think, I now enjoy coming to talk to you guys and giving our updates, so it's a little bit to help get everybody else involved, so
Do you guys know what the word is out on the street, don't you?
I hope so. That's good.
Everybody asks me, what are they doing right? And I said, everything. So there's a lot of talk about you guys.
And we've got funds behind us. We've got some, some people that
That's
are
right.
continuing to back us now that have pledged some things for us and not ready to announce all that stuff, but it's going wonderfully. It gives me goosebumps to talk about.
Okay, we'll keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
Is there any way I could step out for like 2 minutes? Can I go use the restroom?
Oh, okay. Okay, we're going to take a slight break for just a couple of minutes until Joe comes back.
This is all my fault.
Thank you.
Regards to
I used to be in Munger all the time, trying to take Okay, our next agenda item is the Ellis County Appraiser's Office review. Lisa?
Good evening, Commissioners. Lisa Ree, County Appraiser. I thought I would just go over a couple items. One of them, I know you received a letter from the Department of Revenue, and then our office also received a different letter from the Revenue. So I thought I would talk about those real quick this evening. The letter that our office received, and I don't believe you received that copy, but it notified us that our office has for tax year 2022 is in what they call substantial compliance. What that means is we have met all the requirements statutorily, and any items that the Department of Revenue requires, we have met all those deadlines, met all the statutory requirements, and then also we've also met the statistical requirement. So the state grades us in everything that we do, and we pass with flying colors. And I thought I would bring that to you so you know that we worked hard for tax year 22 and we came out on top.
It's good.
In fact, of everything that they graded us on, all of our procedures, all the statutory requirements, everything that we have to turn into them, we met everything. So basically, we got a perfect score for 22. And then the letter that you received talks about the sales ratio study, that we were in compliance with the statistical study. And they also sent a form along with that. There you go. That shows how they graded us on how our sales are. They focus mainly on the residential sales and the commercial sales. And what they do is they, especially for residential, they just take a sample of our sales. And they compare the sale price to our appraised value. And that's how they grade us on our values. And for the residential class, the median ratio was at 91.2%. They give us a 10% leeway. They like us to be within 10% of 100. So between 90 and 110, they say we're in compliance with that. And the reason why we're on the low end is because, as I've talked to you before, is the way our market was going in Ellis County in 2022. We had a very strong market. We had a low supply of homes, a high demand for homes, and people were paying premium prices, sometimes paying more than asking, and that's reflected in that ratio. Hopefully, as things get going for 23, we won't be that low. The other thing then is the commercial properties. We're on the low end there also, and we were seeing kind of the same thing as we in commercial properties as we were for residential. Of course, we have a lot less commercial properties sell. It's a little tougher to hit commercial property values, but for 22, we met the state requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really brief discussion on that. Do you have any questions about any of that?
No, I just, I'm glad you got the kind of reports you did get.
Yes, yes.
I think the personnel in your office does work very hard.
Yes.
So-
And I have a lot of my staff here this evening. I asked them if they would consider coming because this is not all me.
Mm-hmm.
This is just not on the appraiser. My name is on everything, but they do all the hard work.
Well, sure.
Yeah. So I thought they could use some recognition as well.
Commissioner Neal?
I'm gonna say it again, I'm bragging on all of our employees, the head departments plus everyone else. It all follows, it all takes all of us to work to get a report like this, and you did it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Joe?
Yeah, I mean, please convey to those that didn't join you this evening that we really appreciate all their hard work and what they've done. You know, valuation is a sensitive topic, and your office has handled it really, really well. So we're proud of your guys' efforts and hard work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is the 2023 landfill rate increase. Justin?
Good evening, Commissioners. Justin Craig, Environmental Services Director. Before you this evening is the environmental staff's proposal to raise certain tipping fees for the landfill effective January 1st, 2023. Just over the past few years, the cost to transfer the solid waste and to maintain the landfill and to excavate and develop our new expansion has increased greatly with the cost of fuel. Most notably, it's the fuel rates to transfer the waste to Garden City at this time. So this evening, we're proposing to raise the tipping fees on municipal waste and construction demolition materials by $5 per ton, along with special waste by $25 per ton, effective January 1st, 2023. And along with that, we'd like to commit to review that yearly to see where we stand, to see if it's possible next year, we could go up, go down, just to keep a close eye on it so we're not doing things that we don't need to be doing with that. We have been in contact with the city of Hayes and our producers to let them know that this would be proposed this evening. So.
Okay. Yeah, we have to keep the solid waste fund, I guess, pretty fluid, because that's just the way it is. Commissioner Neal, any comments, concerns?
I'm with you on that, Justin. I support that. Like I say, every year, let's make an adjustment, and that way it ain't such a hard hit at one time. So, yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Joe?
Yeah, just looking at the proposed rate increased sheet that is in the packet, it seems reasonable, given what our costs are, so I support it.
Okay, Commissioners, I will make a motion to approve the proposed Ellis County solid waste rate increases effective January 1st, 2023.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is the 2019 Build Grant Award. Brendan.
Good evening, Commissioners. Brendan McKay, Ellis County Public Works Director. So back in April, the county was notified that there was $5.8 million of Build 19 grant funds up for grabs. If anyone wanted to submit, you had 10 days to submit an application. So we worked hard, submitted an application, didn't say how much you wanted, just if you could use funds. So we turned in an application saying why our costs had risen, what things were outside of our scope that potentially increased the cost of the project. And then on the 9th of August, got an email from USDOT saying, congratulations, you've been selected to receive $2.5 million. Please get us an amended grant agreement by August 15th. Because everyone knows federal government works so fast. So that's what I've spent the last almost week working with engineers on the project, the contractor, KDOT, Federal Highway, getting our agreement amended. The way that was recommended to us from Federal Highway to submit was to submit as basically taking away $2.5 million from the local share, reducing our input into the project. Because right now it's about a 60-40 split. We're a little bit higher than 40. Federal programs require an 80-20 split. That's the maximum funding federal will give. If the county takes that $2.5 million back from their, basically changes it from their share to federal share, we're still well within that 80-20 split. One of the things that was brought up was KDOT recommended potentially widening the pavement out there. It's a 24-foot wide roadway. Wider is always better, it's safer. There's still going to be 8-foot rock if the commission decides not to widen the roadway. There's still going to be 8-foot aggregate shoulders along both sides of the roadway. We would have to do another amended agreement, but they have to obligate those funds that they've selected this project for by the 21st of September, and they have to be put in the bank account by the 31st of September. So Federal Highway just recommended that we take it back as our share, and then if the commission decides to, we can decide to use some of those funds to widen out the roadway. Just the pavement portion, it's not going to make the project any wider, just the paved areas. Or the county could use those funds for other projects that have been kind of getting kicked down the road, like the bridge over Slane River, 120, 830 there in Ellis. Both of those are big projects that we need to do something before something like what happened on 450 last year happens to us. The contractors plan on pouring concrete tomorrow on this project. If the commission does decide to widen it, they'll place tie bars and dowel bars in along the edges, so that way they can come back and pour a 2-foot wide extra shoulder, 3-foot wide extra shoulder, or 4-foot. On the sheet I handed out to you guys, it's listed as 4, 6, and 8. I got this about 4 o'clock today. So this is how it was sent to me. So reading through it, it's 2, 3, and 4-foot extra on both sides, just listed as 4, 6, and 8. So if we want to do a 2-foot safety shoulder on both sides of the roadway, they're still going to pour the 24-foot wide. They'll come back and pin and dowel. It's going to be $850,000. And these are very rough costs. This was, they got this information on Thursday evening, and we asked them, hey, can you put some costs together for us? So these are not set in stone. These could change, these could go up. My only fear is we did the grant for the amendment, to send it off to Federal Highway today. They'll get back to us in a few weeks whether they accept it. My only concern is that if we approve widening the roadway and they say, no, we only want to do a 60-40 split on shares, we may not get that full $2.5 million, and we may have just opened ourselves up for more. They said they don't think that'll be the case, but I didn't think we get $2.5 million out of $5.8 million.
You never know with the feds.
And we can do this as a safety project improvement in the future. it'll have a higher cost. It's called just the safety shoulder on the roadways, putting in.
Well, if we, currently the road is going to be 24 foot wide with 8 foot shoulders.
Correct, on both sides 8 foot.
On both sides, 8 foot. And Commissioners, I've thought about this. We have so many needs in the county regarding roads and bridges. I would just like to keep this as a 24-foot wide road. And then if we could pull some of our funding back out of this project, we could use it for so many other projects that we could put on our list and maybe address. You know, you mentioned 2 bridges, you know, right off the top of your head. And I'm sure there's other things than that. So that's kind of where I am on this issue. Commissioner Neal, what do you think?
I'm also in agreement with that. We've got other projects out in the country that we could use that funding for. Also, we can get by with that gravel for a little bit. We can always go out, add a little bit, maybe do it at a later date in the future. That's my support on it.
Commissioner Joe?
I think whatever takes care of as much as covering more ground, if at all possible, to serve more people is certainly the preferred route from me. But I just wanted to throw in there that was a lot of quick work you guys did to nail down $2.5 million. So thank you for that. I mean, when you were talking about the timeline, it was like no pressure, no rush.
I've got more gray hairs now. My wife was pointing them out yesterday morning. She goes, "Why are you still sitting at the computer?" I'm like, "I have $2.5 million on the table, and I don't want to miss this opportunity."
No, that I just wanted to thank you for putting in that work to I mean, $2.5 million is certainly significant, and it's great that we were able to get it.
It wasn't just me. We worked with the engineers that are on the project doing the CE and did the original design work, and also worked with the contractor and KDOT, because these are not my numbers, these are the contractor's estimates. Had to get with KDOT to get them to hopefully provide these for you guys tonight, so that way I've got to let them know after this meeting what the commission decided, whether they should start placing those rods or just hold off for now.
So
How is that project coming out there, Brandon, with the aggregate underneath the, okay? I guess our public needs to know that too, so.
It is coming.
Okay.
They're going to start paving tomorrow, the 24-foot wide paving width. Hopefully they'll get them back where they're planning on being.
Okay.
They had some changes to do with their base rock, the granular base. Tried a different material, got that through KDOT's Proctor and tested out, so they're full steam ahead on that part of it.
Okay.
They've got all the material there to keep going with this section right now.
Okay.
So what you hear from the board, Brandon, is we'll stay with the same with the road and reduce our cost share.
And if we decide at a later date, we can always go back and do this.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad thing to increase the width of a road. I mean, even if you make the road 40 foot wide, you're still going to have people that drive off the edge occasionally.
Sure.
This will be the widest road and that we'll have in the county that we'll maintain with the aggregate shoulders the way it is.
Okay, and I think you're up next here too with the KDOT
I'm
cost
sorry
share
I've had to
agreement.
talk so much tonight.
Well, that's okay.
So, more money for us. About a month ago, I brought forward to you guys that we were selected for the cost share grant in Victoria. It said there'd be, within a month or so, we'd have a new agreement, the county-state agreement for that project. They've awarded the county $700,000 to complete the south half of Cathedral Avenue down to Old 40. So there'll be one nice continuous concrete pavement section from where Coca-Cola is and the state stops maintenance, all the way through Cathedral, down underneath the railroad bridge and out to Old 40. So that, our share just estimated $475,000 for construction, and about $250,000, $260,000 for engineering work and design work. So for you tonight is the agreement from the state, the county-state agreement. If the county commission wishes to continue up forward with this project, they accept that money.
Well, that's always good to get more money. Commissioner Joe, comments, concerns?
I'm just excited that we were able to have this unexpected news, you know, as he pointed out, in past meetings, you know, it's not the norm for this to be awarded 2 years in a row. So it's going to be great to take care of all of Cathedral from the southern and northern point in Victoria, basically all in one shot, really. So this is very exciting to have this opportunity.
Commissioner Neal, comments, concerns?
My concern is, I guess, the bridge down at the bottom. When was the last time that was inspected? So we don't run into something there that we're not.
Which one, the one on 3rd Street or the one on Cathedral?
One on, down on Cathedral underneath the railroad.
Underneath there, that was
Yeah.
last inspected 2 years ago. It'll be inspected here in a month and a half.
Okay, that was my concern in case something goes wrong there, that we would have the funding if,
And I believe the plans, they were just rough plans because they're not, it actually takes a lot of design work. I believe in the rough plans we had was to replace that structure potentially with preformed concrete boxes.
okay?
Because it is low.
Yes,
If we build that up,
we're in trouble.
you're going to have clearance issues with the railroad. So it overtops. Be better to have a precast concrete structure in there, which is similar to what's already in there, just updated, or a new deck across top of what's there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion for this?
Sure, I'll move to approve the attached Cathedral Avenue reconstruction agreement for the KDOT cost share program, project number 26C-5132-02.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, Chair. One thing I also want to give credit where some credit's due besides Brendan and his staff, and then Buck Driggs with Driggs Design. Can't correlate it necessarily to the trip out there, but we did ask Senator Moran to make some phone calls and emails at his staff out in D.C. in regards to that, receiving some of the 2019 build grant funds back. So we don't have any direct confirmation that his conversations with Federal Highway or made a difference, but I would like to thank Senator Moran's efforts, just in case it did make a difference. But either way, it was nice to have his support behind us on that project, and getting $2.5 million was great news.
Yeah, absolutely, Darren.
Wanted to recognize Senator Moran.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, our next agenda item is the approval for a GIS analyst position.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mike Leiker, Ellis County IT Director. I'm here to speak with you tonight about the reinstatement of the GIS analyst position. We had that position up until July of 2019. When that person filling that position left the county, we had a need, equal need for an IT technician, desktop support technician, and at the time the pool for GIS technicians was pretty shallow, so we opted to go to replace that person with a IT desktop support technician. In that time, since then, our needs for GIS have just steadily been growing. As you know, when we implemented the public safety software back in March, the bedrock for that system was GIS. And Eamon, our GIS specialist, has been working tirelessly on that project since before March, probably for the last 2 years almost. But our GIS needs have just been growing, and in several departments. Since then, you know, I've listed some of the projects that are waiting on the list. Redistricting for the Ellis County Commission districts. Eamon was able to get some of that work done because it was required to be done. I believe that's something that has to happen every 2 years. Periodically. I think the national census sends out updates every couple of years, and we need to reevaluate our commission districts. And as well, if we would ever change to a 5-member commission board. We would have to redistrict again. That's all hinging on GIS work, or goes along with it, along with the clerk, all the work she has to do. Election maps, map books for EMS, fire, and sheriff's office. The appraiser's office has ag letter questionnaires that are coming up. And Brendan's got a lot of needs that he'd like to see done for GIS road map, or road signs. He needs a road sign map layer, bridge layer, an updated bridge layer that we have for bridges is woefully out of date, and he could benefit from an update of that. And then the road center right-of-ways layer that we don't have currently. That's just a short list of things that are waiting to be done, as well as just upgrading the GIS website that we have out, and that is shared between the city and county. But I'm sure you've all been out to our geospatial data portal, as it's called, linked off of our ellisco.net website. But that has not had a significant facelift since it was launched. Eamon's been working hard to keep it up to date, but there's a lot more that we could do with that. I think Commissioner Neal mentioned in the past how he's spoken with several people in the community about our website, and I think it's very useful to them. But all of that requires somebody on the back end making sure that the wheels are turning. And so I've rambled on long enough, but I would like to ask that you approve the creation of the reinstatement. It would be an additional position in my office for the GIS analyst. There would be a budgetary impact on that, obviously, to pay for the salary for that position. And that would be the salary and benefits cost would be approximately $78,000. And this would increase my budget proposal from my total budget line item from $857,709 to approximately $935,709, which you will be looking at budgets here very shortly. So that is what we're asking for. I would entertain any questions.
Okay, yeah, Mike. Now, this was a position we talked to you about during the budget presentation, correct?
Yes.
A quick question I have for you is we currently share a GIS specialist with the City of Hayes.
That's correct.
If we got our own GIS specialist, would we still be sharing that person?
Yes, because there is enough of a need. So this person would do a lot of the data collection and the data analysis, but there's still a lot more what I would call higher level GIS work that needs to continue to be done. And so, yeah, we would still need to have Eamon on board. As you mentioned, we pay for half of his salary and expenses, so we get him half the time. And he's very, very busy, so I think that we would.
Yeah, you impressed that upon us. He is very busy.
Yes.
Yeah. And if we did approve this position, that position would be working for Ellis County.
That is correct. It'd be a full-time Ellis County position.
Full-time Ellis County position. Okay.
And they would do Ellis County projects.
Well, I'm not opposed to this. I think if your office needs it, we ought to try to provide you with it. Commissioner Joe?
So currently, the employee that we share with the city, is it really a 50-50 breakdown since we're funding half, or do you see that person's time being spent more on the county or more on the city, one way or the other?
Overall, it's a pretty good split. The IT director for the City of Hayes and myself work and meet with Eamon every other week, and we go over projects, the project lists, and we help him prioritize to make sure that we have an equal share. There are occasions where there's a project that may be more heavily city-centric or county-centric, and he'll have to work more heavily on those, but we always balance it out to make sure that there's an equal load there between the city and the county.
Okay.
So,
good.
Okay. Commissioner Neal?
I'm going to echo Joe there. Like I said, I'd like to know the percentage of what it is, and I see the job description here. Like out in the rural, I mean, are we going to GPS like the bridges, take pictures? Is that gonna all be available to the public? Where's this going to?
Okay, so I'm not an expert at GIS, but yes, that is the intention, is that we could hopefully start to get, a good example are the signs, the sign layer that the county, Public Works would like to have. Every one of those signs would have to be identified and geolocated. He's got, Brendan has state requirements for those signs with reflectivity and things like that. And in order to know if they're up to code, we have to know where they are. And he currently has a list of all of those, but to have that referenced in a spatial map would make that job so much, make that person so much more productive trying to maintain that layer. So yeah, we could have them out geo-referencing bridges, signs, road center right-of-ways, and any other type of structure that we might have to work with. You know, there are other technologies that we haven't even deployed yet, such as drone technology and things like that, that we could look at in the future to help make that process a little more efficient. But you know, those are future things that we really haven't addressed yet. But I think this person would spend a lot of time. Brendan and I talked about just the sign layer alone and how much time that would take. You see him behind me, he might have a comment to make about that.
So we have what he calls a list. My sign technicians call it their Bible. It's about yay thick, and it's got every sign that we know of, not including most up-to-date signs with our high-risk rail road along all of our paved roads and major collectors. There's not one nice spot for them all to be. So a lot of times he's going through there and he finds signs that didn't know we had anymore. Having it all in one place in a nice, organized manner would be a huge benefit for us. Like I said about our bridge layers, they were last updated in 2013. So our weight restrictions, we know what bridges of ours are weight restricted, but for a quick glance, if we get a call that someone's coming through with an oversized load or overweight load that didn't come in and fill out permit ahead of time, we know which roads we can send them down or allow them to go down. Because it's not up to date, my office staff, the front office can't see that. They don't have the most recent one. So we try and keep those things updated. It'd be a big benefit to us. And like you said, with potential of the drone operations, when we're looking at drainage area, GIS analysts could fly the drone, come up with a contour map of it, for the topography map of it, so we could see the drainage area to make sure we've got the slopes right and we making the water go where it needs to go. So I've got a big need for it.
Okay. Is it in the future that they're going to do like culverts? And then I see on the job description, I see nothing on here about as far as, is this individual going to or get in his possession a drone license? Or is that down the road yet?
There aren't immediate plans for that.
Okay.
I believe, I mean, my understanding is it's a lot easier to get a drone license. That we may have people in the county who already are certified to do that. Maybe. So I'm not sure what all the legalities are for that, but you know, it is definitely something in the future that we'd like to see done.
And then, and maybe this is something that, are we going to go for any kind of accuracy so it's pretty close? I mean, are we going feet? Are we going inches? As far as the accuracy, like signage, that type of deal?
Well, as far as geolocation of that, this person would stand next to the sign with a GPS unit
But I'm saying,
exactly where that would be.
what kind of accuracy? Are we going for 3 inches? Are we going for a foot? Are we going for 2 feet?
Depends on how much you want to spend on
That's
the
right.
GPS
Okay.
unit.
I didn't know what you guys
So,
had
like
planned.
for us right now with FEMA, so I just talked to Mike about it last week. For us with FEMA right now, we have signs that are damaged in the high wind and fire event last December. We've got our booklet that has it. We had to go out and get phone GPS coordinates. Phone GPS coordinates are not the most accurate. Those are 5 foot, 10 foot. That was good enough for them. Basically give us an idea of where something should be so we can go look for it. If we have another high wind event, we're finding signs even now that we didn't know we lost in that event just because we didn't have record of it. With this dry spin, nothing growing, stuff blowing away, we find signposts. When we go back, well, what sign was there? And sometimes we have record of it, sometimes we don't. It'd be nice if we had a visual representation of it instead of just numbers with GPS coordinates. Or
I
this
guess-
one is 10 feet away from, this one's 500 feet away from the intersection. It's clear as mud, that Bible.
My point is, if we're going through this for the future for, you know, our community, let's spend the money and go the inches. We kind of made that mistake at my place of work, and now we're at 2.8. That's why I'm bringing this up. If we're going to do it one time, do it right, and
So that just,
Have it.
the accuracy is just not dependent on the person you hire, but the technology you
Sure,
use, whether
sure.
you get a top control station or if you get just a GPS rod, or if you go out there with your phone, you can tie it in with.
Right.
The reason I have my drone license, I worked for a private company and we flew our stockpiles. I don't know if you'd have to have it for county work here, because it's not for private gain,
I guess
but.
my thought is, I don't want to take you away from your regular job to go fly for,
Yeah, no,
especially if we're filling this position.
I got enough on my plate, as
Yeah.
you saw earlier here.
Yeah.
But I'll get out of your hair. There.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brendan. Yeah, getting the drone license, I was just at a presentation last week from Esri. They provide a lot of this GIS software and things like that. And he was the one that said that getting your drone license is much more simple than it used to be. Used to be you did everything short of you're flying in a plane. You are a pilot. You're going through all of the training that a pilot for a regular sized plane would go. But they said that now that they have federal regulations, it's more clear cut and easier to do that. So if we were going to go down that road of pursuing drone technology, we would certainly put that person through the training to get their license. Unless we got lucky and found a candidate that had it already, it is becoming more popular. So there's a chance that we could find a candidate who already has that drone license.
I guess that's kind of my point. If we're putting this job description out there, put that in there right away, because they do use that quite often, so.
Okay. We could do that.
Commissioner Joe?
No, I already asked my question.
Okay. Commissioners, are you in favor of funding this position?
I would really like to know what the percentage is in Ellis County and what Hayes. How much is actually, if it's 50/50, if it's 20,
We do strive for
80?
50/50. I would say that in most cases, it is very equitable, close to 50/50. That is very important, because I knew that someday you would ask me that. And it is important to make sure that everybody's getting their share. But we do strive very hard to make sure that it is equitable for both the city and the county. And I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. So I would be willing to say that it is at or very close to 50/50.
Okay. Commissioner Joe, do you support this position?
If it's something we have the funding for and the need truly is there so that we can take care of the responsibilities we have to the citizens of the county, I am. I am kind of wondering, though, going forward, will we still have, if this were approved, would we still have 1.5 positions, or would we end up folding the county half of the gentleman who's doing it now? Or I could just see if this did go forward, where right now you say it's 50/50, but I could see county things being kind of shifted over to the full-time county guy or lady, and the half-funded position from the city being more all city work than county work. I'm not saying I oppose doing this if it's needed and the money's there. I'm just concerned and would like some sort of check and balance in place so that we don't find ourselves funding half of a position that we're not getting much use out of down the road.
Yeah, I understand your concern. I will say that we have been operating this way for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's been working very well. The city IT director and myself have an excellent working relationship. We always, like I said, we meet every other week to go through the project list and prioritize. And we strive, because both of us risk losing that half position if one takes more than the other. So it's a mutually assured benefit for both of us to make sure that Eamon's time is spent equitably between the city and the county. So
Is there a contractual arrangement with that?
all we have, I don't believe there is a contract in place for that. It's just a mutual agreement that I pay half of his salary and benefits expenses.
Mm-hmm. Commissioners, do you want to table this for a while and think about it?
I would rather do that. I would support that, to table it. And
Okay. Would you like to take this up again in September?
if that'll work with Mike. And
Whatever you guys think.
then by that time, maybe we can change that job description requirements and get something going then.
Certainly.
And Darren, when is the final budget due?
Tonight, you're kind of going to be reviewing the, reviewing the final version. However,
If it's undecided if we should fund that GIS position, can we go ahead and just put money in a contingency fund or something like that and transfer it out later, should we decide to fund for Mike?
correct, the 78,000, I guess, that's in here, we could put that into like the budget stabilization account.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't think Mike's plan was to do it until January of next year anyways, because of
Right.
budget constraints this year, but we could put it into Department 97, and then once the position is filled, we can do a budget adjustment and reduce it from the budget stabilization account and move it to
Okay.
IT, and if it wasn't there, it would be then unspent budget authority that would roll over
Mhm.
for the county unless
Is-
reallocated.
Because that way, at least there'd be funding if we just put this off till after final budget approval.
Correct, and if I did that, it wouldn't change what we have projected for the overall budget.
Mhm.
Necessarily, it would raise it by 78,000. However, as I'll speak later tonight, there's a non-appropriated balance that I was planning on having set to help increase our unencumbered cash carryover each year. And
Sure.
that would just be reduced 78,000. So that way the overall county general fund budget authority would increase, but it wouldn't change the point of the mill levy. It would still keep the mill levy under
Mhm.
what it is for this year.
Okay. So I guess, Mike, we'll see you back in September.
Okay, and I will work on that job description to
Okay.
reflect that.
I
the
appreciate
job.
that. Only thing too, I was gonna add, we're gonna open up a can of worms when we send this guy out, and he's gonna GPS every culvert. All of a sudden, somebody's gonna go in front, hey, my culvert's right here, and it's plugged, so are we gonna generate more work for the public works? So, something to keep in the back of our mind also. Because I know I've got them in my front yard, so, and the minute they do them, I'm gonna say, hey, I need that cleaned out, so, but anyhow,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the tax foreclosure sale. Bill?
Thank you, County Councilor Bill Jeter. Let me first talk about the 2021 foreclosure action, which we just are about ready to finish. We started a year ago with 44 tracts with over $60,000 in taxes. A letter went out from the treasurer's office, and by the time we were ready to file an action in district court, there were only 12 tracts left, which had 28,000 approximately in taxes that were owed. 10 of those got redeemed before we went to sale. We had 2 lots that we sold, one in Antonino and one in Ellis. The lot in Antonino, which had $374.79 worth of taxes, sold for $1,600. And the lot in Ellis, which had $444.12 of taxes, sold for $1,300. So when we're all done, we got taxes paid current on all those 44 properties. So I guess that's how it's supposed to work. So that was good. Tonight you have in front of you a resolution for starting this year's 2022 foreclosure. We started with 36 tracts and $56,000 approximate dollars in taxes. About 2 months ago, a letter went out from the treasurer's office. We have left, as you'll note in the resolution, 11 tracts with delinquent taxes, interest and penalty of $19,241.30. So I'm asking tonight for you to approve the resolution to authorize me to go ahead and initiate the tax foreclosure sale regarding those properties.
Okay. Commissioners, any discussion, concerns about this? Commissioner Joe?
No, it's a necessary thing to do, so we move forward.
Commissioner Neal?
Yep. Get her done.
Okay, do I hear a motion on this?
I move to approve Resolution 22-09 and allow the county councilor to file the delinquent real estate taxes with the Ellis County District Court.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay, we have a Purple Wave auction. Darren?
Good evening, Commissioners. Darren Myers, County Administrator. Before you is a list tonight of several items throughout many different departments in the county that have been identified for no longer being used and the need to dispose of. And in the years previous to this, we've always went to the Purple Wave auction site as a governmental way to dispose of equipment. However, on this list, one thing that is different than many of the years in the past, besides the little items like tables, chairs, desks, file cabinets, are several vehicles. The reason there's so many vehicles on here at this point is we started to receive the enterprise fleet management vehicles that have replaced several vehicles between many offices in the county. I'm not sure exactly how many are on here, but I would say about 10 to 12. That was our plan with the replacement of the vehicles. Is once the vehicle is replaced, and the way the vehicle market is now and the experience that we've had selling vehicles on Purple Wave, that we would take the sales ourselves instead of returning them back to Enterprise to sell at auction. We would do it on Purple Wave. So to date, this includes all the vehicles that we've had, minus a couple from the sheriff's office that have already been sold on Purple Wave. I believe late last year we sold 2 or 3, and if I remember right, those sold way above what we expected, and they were also hailed out through that hailstorm that we had last year. So with that, we're just asking that the commission were able to review the list and then approve us to be able to sell these items on Purple Wave. In a future date, we get set up and get it listed and hopefully sold and have the funds back to us by the end of 2022. So that way they would start to offset the lease payments that the new vehicles are incurring, or at least help offset the cost, I should say.
Well, Purple Wave's been working for us, so I have no problems with it. Commissioner Neal?
I don't either. If it's working, it's not broke, let her go.
Some of them are broke.
So I'm sure I see a lot of them that could be broke.
The brush truck that's on there, we actually had to tow it out there because it didn't run anymore.
Commissioner Joe?
No, definitely. I support it. Like you said, we need to get some money coming in so that we can bounce out the lease payments going out.
So proceed, Darren.
Sounds good. We'll be on top of it. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have the next item is the K-Camp K-Works voting delegate. And I believe that has to be someone who's going to the KAC meeting.
That is correct. The KAC hosts meetings for both K-Camp and K-Work, which K-Camp is our insurance multi-line pool that we have, And K-Work is our work comp insurance municipal pool that we're also involved with. Each year at the Kansas Association of Counties, or the KAC, they hold their annual meeting and they conduct business. And at that business, they need their voting members identified and they're present to be able to make the changes that the boards present and the counties present to them. So this year is at the KAC, which is in mid-October, out in Overland Park. And they were asking, I know on the agenda, I only included K-Camp, but since then, since I released the agenda to be published last week, we got K-Work today. So we have both of them. If the commission would be able to identify one of the commissioners that are going and is willing to be a voting delegate, and then for an alternate, you don't necessarily have to, but I would suggest selecting one of the staff that will be out at KAC to be able to vote as an alternate.
Commissioner Neal, are you going to the KAC meeting?
I am.
Would you like to be a delegate?
I'd be honored to do that.
Okay, so I guess Commissioner Joe, is that okay? Are you going to the KAC meeting?
Originally, yes, but since I won't be here in January, I didn't feel that it was an appropriate use of the county's money to send me to it when
Okay.
it wouldn't be much use to the county. So, so no, I won't be going. However, if need be, I could. I mean, but my plans at this point are not to.
Well, we can have Commissioner Neal be both, the delegate to the K-Work and K-Camp. So, if that's okay with you?
I would, like I say, I'd be honored to do that. I'd do both of them.
And then for an alternate, who would you recommend, Darren?
The county clerk usually goes, not this year. The county appraiser,
Shaking your
public
head for
works
it.
director, myself. Easy.
I would say,
Public Works, myself, the county clerk, county appraiser. The treasurer's not going this year because he's got a conflicting other training as being a new treasurer. So I think that captures
Okay.
about everybody that's
Well,
going.
we could make you the alternate delegate.
That's
That's
fine.
okay with the board.
I'll second it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. One more hat for you, Darren.
Okay, that takes care of that. Okay, then we have the final draft budget presentation.
Well, I think at this point, the county commission has been able to review the budget several times throughout the year. We've met our budget schedule, and we've met, I think it's key to state that we've met the commissioner's goal is to present a budget that did not increase the mill levy for the county voters and the community. The budget that we put together estimates that the current mill levy would be at roughly 37.2, which would be about 1/10 of a mill less than what it is for 2022. And did work with the county clerk to identify the different TIFs as well as property tax, not abatements, but that may not be included in the tax roll. So that way we can make sure our county mill levy stays as close to where we present it as at 37.2 now. But when final valuations come out November 1st, that'll determine what that final mill levy is. Some of the key items that are in the budget that the commissioner's goal were, and trying to keep it under the 37.398 mills that is current, is we did budget for the 7% increase for health insurance next year until we know where those fall in at our renewal rates here in about a month. It does include pay raises yet to be determined on what they would be for all the county employees. The commission is stayed committed to increasing the funding to reserves to repair our roads and bridges. Last year, 2021, we had budgeted $329,000. This year, the commission had chose to raise that to $800,000, and in the budget tonight, it increases that again to $1.6 million for roads and bridges, which is almost a fourfold increase in what we have been doing. So hopefully the community would start seeing some significant improvements, and then with Public Works continue to work on their grants, the funding that we'll get back, some cost share funds from the projects in Victoria, as well as up on the Northwest Business Corridor. Our capital plan for roads and bridges next year will look probably significantly different because we're going to be able to do a lot more projects because we'll have funding available. As the commission has requested also, the budget does include overtime, an increased amount of overtime for the public works staff to be able to work extra, make more money, but also go out and clean right-of-ways, mow, or grade when it rains, snows, etc. Give them more flexibility to make more work on the roads. It does include a employee incentive to contribute to their retirement at a higher match. From a top increase at $30 match, it goes up to $45, and that will be in an upcoming personnel policy change once this is also approved. And does include the roughly $1.2 million for outside agencies requested their funding at the levels that we had previously talked about. The $5,000 for Big Brothers Big Sisters was added to that. And just for clarification on that too, once the budget is approved come the September 12th hearing and R&R hearing that we have, at that point is when I'll send out a letter to all the outside agencies, since there's a final decision that the budget has been approved. And I'll also state in that letter, as per the commission request, is to make sure that they're aware to come back several times throughout the year to present back to the commission to show where that funding's going and the projects that are being funded by the commission and county taxpayers are being used for. And then at the very end, which you'll see in the state documents at the September 12th meeting, I've expressed to the commission the need to continue to build our reserves, our unencumbered balance at the end of the year. Currently, we've been dropping down through the last couple of years down to about 2 to 3 million. Slowly try to increase that up over the last couple years. And with this budget, there'll be about, it'll fluctuate now with adding the IT position in there, but we'll be putting about $500,000 in a non-appropriated line item, so that way we can continue to increase our reserve balance and try to get that up to a 25% of our total general fund operating expense, which would be $7.2 million. However, by the end of next year, we'll be up to about just over $6 million. So we're making significant improvements on that as well for long-term financial stability. What that does, just for a brief explanation, having the larger unencumbered tax balance, bank balance, that basically at the end of the year, if we go into a recession or the oil market plummets again, instead of having to raise the mill levy, raise more taxes, we can help absorb some of that unencumbered balance and keep the mill levy the same and just reduce that back down. So having that balance there is be able to use when time gets hard. So that's the reason why building that back up is beneficial for everybody and for the future of the county. With that, unless there's any more specific questions throughout the budget, it should encapsulate everything that we've discussed over the last several months, and it'll be a good turning point to get the budget approved at the September 12th hearing. We will have one hearing for the revenue neutral rates, which everybody should have received their revenue neutral rate hearings. And then we'll have a public hearing for the actual public comment, and then approval of the budget shortly after that.
Sounds like a good plan to me. Commissioner Neal?
Me too. It's all set up.
Commissioner Joe?
No, that sounds great, and I think overall, all the departments and the department heads did a really great job during the budget process of staying as close to last year as possible, given the rising costs of goods and services and materials. So overall, I think it went well.
I'll also add too that with the environmental office staff coming to you tonight, Justin Craig, we were looking at about $100,000 to $150,000 deficit on the solid waste fund before the consideration of cost increases. As the commission is aware, that is an enterprise fund, so it basically operates as a business. And with the approval of tonight's rate increases of that $5 increase on the municipal waste, it balances that budget, and to the tune of, I think it's just like $14,000 that we're in the black for the year. So that was much needed too, so that way we can continue to operate financially sound in the solid waste fund as well.
Sure. Okay. County Administrator report, Darren.
I have none.
County Commission reports. Commissioner Joe.
I don't have one.
Commissioner Neal.
I did go take in a little bit of the Victoria Herzog Fest. Had a pretty good crowd. The best thing that I seen, our sheriff's department was there. Thank you, Scott. Our Ellis County EMS was also there. And I'd also like to thank Bobby and all the 40-some people that helped with the election, and also for our future commissioners to come. Darren's done a great job for us, so we've got some good funding set away. And then I'm also going to add to the Darren with the DC trip. I think it did help to go face to face, and that's my opinion on it.
I think it probably did.
I think it did do some good.
Yeah. Okay, and I have no report. So there's no other business. We will adjourn this meeting at 6:54.